Hello, second grade. We are going to be working on our crayon techniques. So there are 6 of them. Some of these are things that you've done before, and some of them might be new. Some of them you might be just learning what the name of it is. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing is outline and fill in. An outline and fill in is one of the most basic steps that you can take to color in an area. It forces you to outline around whatever it is that you're coloring. So I'm outlining around where my sky is in this picture. So I have it outlined now. I've taken the time, I've gone around all the objects, and now I'm going to go back and I'm going to fill it in. So this is really the basics for any of your coloring. So you always want to outline around an object and all of the objects that are in a specific area, just like I've done here, and then you go back and neatly fill it in, making sure to cover up any of those white areas. Now, the thing I want you guys to realize about this is notice how I colored the background of my picture, or what was farthest away, before I worried about what was closer. So always start from the background of your picture and then work closer. So again, you can see I'm just outlining and then I'm going to fill in. All right, we're going to come back to this picture and add some more details to it. So the next thing we're going to do is layering. So layering is when you have 2 colors. One color is down, pretty solid color, kind of like this grass over here. And then you put another color right on top of it, keeping even pressure on your crayon. Not one area is darker. It's pretty much the same. So I could go through and I could layer in this grass. So what I'm doing again is I'm outlining and filling in. That doesn't stop. Every single time that you color, you want to outline and fill in. And now I'm layering on top. So I literally just colored this darker green on top of this lighter green. Whenever you're layering, you need to have one color that's lighter and one color that's darker. Otherwise, it doesn't really show up. The darker or the lighter color could go on first. They look different depending on it. Your next one is blending. So blending again starts with, a pretty basic coloring, like we see in these mountains. Then, cool thing with blending is that there's 2 different ways to do it. You can make it lighter on top of the object. So highlights or blending with a lighter color goes on the top, and blending with a darker color goes on the bottom. I'll show you what I mean in just a moment. So to blend, you start with a very dark application of pressing very hard with your crayon, and then you slowly get lighter, and a little bit lighter, and a little bit lighter, until you have a smooth transition from the darkest to the lightest. Where if you were using a darker color, and notice that this is the same color as my sky in my picture over here, if I were using a darker color, it would go on the bottom. So I press hard, as hard as I could without breaking my crayon, and then I get a little bit lighter, and a little bit lighter, and a little bit lighter still, until you have a smooth transition. So lighter colors go on the top, and darker colors go on the bottom. Let's see what that looks like when we apply it to our picture. I'm going to outline around the tops of my mountains because I'm using a lighter color. I'm going to start hard, get a little bit lighter, and then a little bit lighter. So I start hard, and then get a little bit lighter, a little bit lighter. So I have a smooth transition from a lighter color to a darker color. Where I can do the opposite, have a smooth transition from a darker color to a lighter color by putting that darker color on the bottom of an area, just like I'm doing. I still outline and fill in. That's why we're keeping this drawing in the outline fill in section. And I'm going to press hard at the bottom and get a little bit lighter and a little bit lighter. So notice how that's showing a nice gradient or an ombre effect in the sky. That's what we're going for. Just like that. All right, so rubbing or side means using the side of your crayon to get texture. So there's things all around you that have different textures. So here I have the texture from the bottom of a basket, and here I have the texture for a crayon box. What I can actually do is put the object flat on my table, put my paper on top, lay my crayon on the side, hold it, and keep my paper steady while I rub that flat side crayon against that object that has texture, so that I pick up that texture. I could also do it on the crayon box or whatever has texture. Texture is not just smooth. It needs to be bumpy or feel like something. Okay, let's talk about stippling. Stippling is using small, controlled pokes. Typically, you stipple on top of another color. So I have a base color on the ground, and then I'd stipple on top of that. Sometimes you have to do a little twist with it to really get the crayon to make that poke. And these are small controlled pokes. They're there to show texture and to show details. So it's stippling or using the point. I could add this around the grass to kind of represent the grass. Okay, and the last one is overlapping for textures. So here I'm going to combine two together. I'm going to use rubbing. So I'm going to do a flat rubbing to get a base color. And then overlapping for texture means that I am adding a texture or a detail to it in order to convey the message of my picture. So right now I'm adding some texture to kind of represent grass. So just like that, I could also do a pattern if I wanted to, that is a repeating pattern, whatever kind of details. This is great for patterns or textures on clothing. So think about what you'd like to do. All right, second grade, I hope you enjoyed this video and that you learned something. If you have any questions, let me know.